Hi, I'm Sunday. In this video, I'll go through the process of how I make a character. A few months ago, I made a really long video about the evolution of Sapient Dragons. You don't have to watch that video to understand this one, but the character I'm making today is a member of that species. The setting is a planet called Origin, a little bit in the future. The western and northern continents were the main subject, as that's the one ruled by dragons. At the end of that video, I talked about the current king of dragons, known as the Good King. He's beloved across Origin, mostly for his personality. Before I go any further, let's talk about the design of their species in general, and also their clothing and culture. In that speculative evolution video, I just talked about how they evolved, not the more meta aspects of designing non-human characters. So let's get into it. First, this character was originally inspired by a certain multicolored video game character with confusing lore of whether it's a dinosaur or a dragon. That was during my childhood, but I gave her a name and original design more than 4 years ago. Her name is Chloe Mendugard, and she's the Good King's daughter. Here's some art from then. This was before I dated my art, but is from June 4th of 2019. Geez, I've definitely gotten a bit better at drawing since then. At the time, my characters were all about breaking stereotypes, and Chloe's was simply to break the stereotype of women always being slim and polite. Not exactly a mind-shatteringly original idea, but I was 14. I guess it bothered me that even strong female characters like Wonder Woman weren't insanely buff and or scary looking like Batman and Superman. Nothing against Wonder Woman though, she's cool too. Anyway, here's some more recent art from last year. Feel free to ignore the wacky lore. When I make non-human characters, it's important to me that I make them non-human. Like not just a human with an animal head or a different colored skin. The main thing you can do if you don't want to change too much is to mess with proportions. In my case, apart from just being bad at drawing. So these dragons just have stupidly huge arms. It helps to add to the tough-looking aesthetic, and I like the contrast with the silly goofy pants. I have pants like that in real life, and they are awesome. I think it just helps to give her more personality than tough girl. Here's the art I made for this video. Okay, there's a lot I want to talk about with this one, so hear me out. Or don't. I'll make sure to put more than one chapter for this picture, so feel free to skip around if something's boring. To start, the symbols will start meaning things eventually, but not anytime soon. I want to talk about color design and characters. So I'm really into colors, like way too into colors. I was self-taught, so I never learned about colors the traditional way and was first introduced to them in the perspective of science rather than art. The primary colors are red, green, and blue, and combining them traits any color you can see on a screen. 50-50 mixes of the primary colors make yellow, cyan, and magenta. A tint is a ratio of these colors, and a shade is a specific color within that ratio. Or at least that's how I use those words. For example, a tint would be a 3-to-1 ratio of red and blue. Pink and raspberry would be different shades of that one tint. Okay, so what does this have to do with character design? Generally, you don't want to have more than 2 or 3 non-white tints in one character, though clothing can add a few more. Not 7 more though. I'm saying all this because this is only my second character making video, and the first in a while, so I don't want anyone to think all my characters look like a clown splattered all over the canvas. Chloe is a rule breaker, so I wanted her outfit to look absolutely foul while also totally being something I would wear unironically. At least, I would wear the pants. I also wanted her to wear something that would make her less intimidating, since she looks pretty scary compared to most of my other characters. If there's something to take away from this video, it's that a lot of traditional rules for art and storytelling are kind of pointless. Breaking those rules can be fun, and a lot of the times make for an interesting story. Speaking of stories, Chloe has one of those. You might have noticed that nearly everything I've shown about this world takes place in 2079, but the drawings of Chloe are 13 years later in 2092. Well, let's go back to 2079 to try and figure out how the Good King's daughter became the person she is as an adult. She's 7 years old, and as a princess, I'm definitely going to make her look more like a rule follower, though her actual personality never really reflected that. Here's the final art. Chloe wears a simple zip-up dress and fancy shoes that also double for active wear. I wanted her outfit to be simple to contrast how she prefers dressing in her adulthood, but still look like she goes outside a lot and can't stand still. She has a twin brother who is the crown prince of dragons. Most of her story arc involves her frustration with not becoming king, while her brother's frustration is with becoming king. Her mother has always been sickly but passes away in 2079, and a few months later her brother goes missing. After this, she has to figure out things with her father and some of his outdated traditions. As she gets older, this relationship gets more and more strained until she runs away to live on her own, but someday they'll figure things out. that's about it for this video. Before you go, I'm interested in hearing what you like and don't like about this video. Do you want to hear more about the story and lore of my characters, or are you more interested in the meta aspects of designing a character? Please comment and let me know. Also, if you're wondering what my characters and stories are for, I'm working on a game. I got the story and design all figured out, but it takes a long time to put a game together, especially if you're doing it yourself. Whenever it's ready, I'll announce it on this channel, but in the meantime, my speculative evolution and making a character videos will tell stories about the same world. Speaking of those, my next character making video will be about a noir cowboy. I hope to see you then, and thanks for watching!